The story takes place in Nazi-occupied Paris in June 1940, after France's swift defeat. Jewish people were forced to wear yellow Star of David badges for identification and faced restrictions in public spaces. We follow a young Jewish boy, Joe Wiseman, who can only watch a carousel from outside since he's forbidden to enter. At his school, Jewish children must recite anti-Jewish German propaganda, and their teacher threatens punishment for mentioning the yellow star. Meanwhile, Field Marshal Philippe Pétain questions the Jewish containment policies affecting his people. After school, Joe and his friend Simon Ziegler return to their Jewish neighborhood. They collect Simon's brother Nono from his school, and together the boys engage in their daily routine of tricking German soldiers for money and secretly mocking them. At home, Joe shares warm moments with his family, playfully imitating Hitler, who, at that same moment, is delivering an impassioned speech about eliminating the Jewish people. Following his speech, Hitler discusses with Heinrich Himmler about accelerating Jewish extermination before international opposition grows. In France, Nazi authorities pressure police chief René Bousquet to deport 100,000 Jews to concentration camps. Though initially resistant due to the large number, Bousquet eventually agrees on the condition of restored police authority. As these sinister plans unfold, a woman named Annette Monod completes her nursing education in France, unaware of the impending atrocities. Annette enjoys carefree carousel rides and cycling through Paris, freedoms denied to Jewish citizens like Joe's sister, who can no longer attend ballet classes. Their father Shmuel Weissman tries to comfort her by promising the war will end soon. Their eldest daughter Rachel Weissman urges the family to flee as their rights disappear, but their limited finances make leaving impossible. Meanwhile, Pierre Laval works to convince Philippe Pétain to support Jewish deportations. When Pétain expresses concern about French citizens' opposition to deporting French-born Jews, Laval proposes targeting only stateless and immigrant Jews. Once this compromise is reached, Bousquet mobilizes his police force to meet a quota of 24,000 Jews for deportation to concentration camps. Shortly before the planned deportation, a policeman warns Tati, a non-Jewish resident of the Jewish community, about an imminent raid. That night, Rachel again raises concerns about deportation rumors to her parents, who dismiss them based on previous false alarms. As the Jewish families sleep peacefully, authorities begin their raid, with Tati attempting to alert residents to flee. The police receive orders to separate the Jews. Childless couples and young adults are to be sent directly to Drancy camp, while others are destined for the winter velodrome. The operation shows no mercy, even to pregnant Bella Ziegler, who suffers abuse from police. As terror spreads, some families choose suicide over facing the concentration camps. At the Weissman home, Sura attempts to protect her husband by claiming he's deceased, but young Joe accidentally reveals the truth. As dawn breaks, families are forced to evacuate with only essential belongings. The wealthy Traub family is caught in the roundup, prompting daughter Anna to devise an escape plan. She directs her mother and sister to flee through the attic while she creates a diversion. Though Anna plans to reunite with her father at school, the heavy police presence leads to her capture and unconsciousness before deportation. At the winter velodrome, Nurse Annette encounters overwhelming conditions with over 16,000 Jews crowded inside, far exceeding the medical staff's capacity. She witnesses severe deprivation, with people denied food and water for days, and numerous sick children. While tending to the young ones, she meets Nono, unaware that his mother has died from injuries sustained during the raid, a fatal hemorrhage caused by police brutality. At the velodrome, Annette grows close to Simon, Joe, and Anna. When Anna seeks help escaping to rejoin her family, Annette offers to guide her to safety. The desperate conditions reach a turning point when firemen arrive to inspect the hoses. Moved by the Jews' pleas for water, the fire chief orders his team to provide water and secretly collects letters from the prisoners to deliver to their families. He instructs his men to mail the letters from distant locations to avoid detection, telling them to claim individual responsibility if caught. German officials then announce imminent transport plans to the medical staff. As they prepare for departure, the intense workload takes its toll, with one nurse collapsing from exhaustion. Annette requests assignment to the children's unit, which Dr. David, himself Jewish, approves, suggesting she take a break due to her declining health. During her break outside, Annette confronts a police officer about the moral implications of their actions. He deflects responsibility, claiming they must follow orders under threat of death. The Jews are then hurriedly loaded onto trains, singing to maintain their spirits, unaware of worse hardships ahead. Their songs fade to silence as they arrive at Bonne-le-Roland concentration camp and face their new reality. The Jews find themselves in squalid quarters with hazy bunk beds and lingering foul odors from previous occupants. Despite these conditions, they find small comfort in basic amenities like running water. Annette continues caring for Nono, concealing the truth about his mother's death by telling him she's in the hospital after delivering his brother. When serving meals, Annette questions the inadequate food portions, watery soup and meager bread rations. During one meal, Joe spits out his food behind a guard, leading to a violent confrontation when the guard interprets it as defiance. That night, Joe's sleepless father expresses regret for not heeding Rachel's warnings to flee. Meanwhile, Annette documents the camp's inhumane conditions in letters to authorities, experiencing the Jews' deprivation firsthand and losing 14 pounds in 3 weeks. Dr. David warns her that her appeals will be ignored, but she persists, eventually kneeling before the prefect to plead their case. Some relief arrives when Anna receives a package with toffee for the children, and Annette's advocacy results in improved rations including sponge cakes and vegetables for soup. A moment of joy emerges as Jews and nurses dance to radio music instead of German propaganda, with guards allowing this brief respite. However, the peace is short-lived as orders arrive for transfer to another camp, including Dr. David. When Annette offers to follow their convoy to continue helping the children, he explains the impossibility of her plan. In a final act of defiance, female prisoners dispose of their valuables in toilets, refusing to let Germans claim their possessions. The deportation process begins with brutal inspections, as guards beat a woman for concealing money. Joe and Sura witness this violence, along with the cruel treatment of Dina and her daughter, whose ear is bloodied when a guard rips out her earring. The guards then announce children must be separated from their parents, claiming insufficient transport space. In reality, this separation occurs because crematorium chambers cannot keep pace with the volume of daily killings. Despite fierce protests from parents and Annette, guards respond with gunfire threats, forcing the separation. The nurses are allowed 10 more days to care for the children before their deportation. Joe plans an escape with Simon and Nono, but Simon's malnourishment-induced hernia prevents him from joining. Instead, Simon and Joseph Kogan manage to escape with help from Annette and others. On deportation day, Annette collapses from exhaustion after protesting the removal of sick children. While she's under Dr. Juice's care, he reveals the horrific truth: the children are being sent to their deaths, following their parents who were killed upon arrival at their destination. Despite her weakened state, Annette cycles to the station but arrives too late, left holding only Nono's doll as the train departs. Joe and Joseph can only watch helplessly as their friends are transported to their fate. Paris's liberation comes in June 1945. Annette continues her nursing work and visits a memorial displaying photos of Jews who disappeared during the Nazi occupation. There, she reunites with Joe, who survived and found an adoptive family. In a miraculous moment, she also discovers Nono among the survivors. Of the 13,000 people deported in summer 1942, only 25 survived, and tragically, none of the 4,051 deported children ever returned.